Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be pimping your dating profile. So basically this video is about how to optimize your dating profile to get your perfect match. Why do I think I'm an expert at this? Well, first of all, I met my current husband through a dating app and I've pimped a lot of my friends' profiles, and I will show you the results that they received after I kind of rewrote their bios and they got more matches. So before we begin, my name is Dr. Sami, and at the moment I am training to become a relationship and psychosexual psychotherapist. So relationships and mental health, there is something that interests me a lot. And according to recent studies, 1 in 6 couples meet online, and that number is expected to grow, especially amongst the younger generations. So in Europe, over 30% of couples have met through an app. And in the Middle East, it's estimated to be 25%, although a lot of people think that number should be higher because there is still a lot of stigma and people kind of get ostracized when they openly say, I use a dating app. So if you are single and you are looking for a potential long-term relationship, dating apps might not be a bad idea. The only reason why a lot of people don't like dating apps is, I'd say, many reasons, to be honest. First of all, there's a lot of weird people online because I feel behind a screen, people kind of tend to be more mean, more inappropriate. They wouldn't necessarily act like that in real life. And also there's a lot of people who basically just want, physical intimacy with people without any real intention of being in a relationship. So a lot of people do become wary of dating apps because of that. But it is not a bad way to meet people because a lot of people are starting to do everything online. Like now when I meet friends and I'm like, oh, how did you meet? Especially if they've got together recently and they're like, oh, we met at the organic fruit and vegetable aisle in Tesco's. That would be weird. Like for anyone meeting in real life, I would find that quite weird. A lot of people I know meet on apps, and that's just the way the world is heading, unfortunately. So stick around because at the end I'm going to share what I personally think a successful or a captivating dating bio should look like. So the first thing, dating apps are based on 2 things. First of all, the pictures you put in. The second thing, what you write. I'm not going to lie, most men don't read bios, but I think you should put a bio. I think anyone who doesn't put a bio in a dating app, they're not that serious about anything. They're not that serious about committing. They're not serious about something tangible or something that could lead into a serious relationship. Because if you really want to find someone, you would at least put a bit of effort and write 4 to 5 sentences about who you are and what you're looking for. I think if you're going to do a dating profile, you should have minimum 3 pictures. The first picture should be a close-up of your face so people can kind of see who you are and get a sense of your vibe. Second one should be a full body picture, so like a full head to toe shot so people know what you look like, what your physique is like. And the third one should be you with maybe a friend or you doing an activity just to show that you have a social life and friends and you have interests. I would recommend you put pictures that are not older than maximum 2 years old. A lot of people tend to put pictures when they look better when they were younger, like 6-7 years ago. And okay, you looked great when you're young, but it is a form of catfishing. People want to know what you look like now. When you show up for a date, you have to look similar or very like the pictures you put up on your dating profile. So I would recommend put these pictures up. You could put more if you want, and make sure they are recent. If you are a female, I would stay away from bikini pictures or outfits that might be considered too revealing. First of all, you're online. You don't know who's out there. Someone could screenshot them and I know what they could do with them. Second of all, it just kind of gives the wrong message. It gives a message that you're online for basically physical intimacy. You don't really care about relationships, and that might be completely false, but that's just the impression people can get. If you are a guy, I would stay away from pictures of you flexing in the gym, riding a car in front of an expensive car, and just, that kind of vibe. It gives off, I'm beta and I'm trying to be alpha, macho man. It's very off-putting. I don't think many girls like that look, but guys seem to think it works. It doesn't. Next thing we're going to get onto is your bio. And I think this is very important. I always read bios. And to be honest, if someone looks great and they don't have anything written in their bios, I personally wouldn't swipe, because I'm like, if they're not even bothered to put the effort of writing a few sentences, they're not really bothered about dating at all. So I think personally bios are very important. So a common thing that I used to see on dating apps were a lot of like, how should I say this? A lot of negatives, like I don't want someone who smokes, I don't want someone who does alcohol, I don't want someone who parties, I don't want someone who has kids, I don't want someone who is fat, X, Y, Z. And it's okay to have preferences. I'm not against people having preferences, but I think the way you say it gives off an impression. So if you go on someone's bio and it's just like, I don't want this, this, you're just kind of like, oh, this person's a bit picky. This person's kind of negative. Yeah, I'm not interested. I think you can say what you do want instead of saying what you don't want. So you can say, I'm looking for someone who is into health and fitness. I would like someone to join me on Sunday morning jogs, if something like that. So by saying what you do want, you kind of give the impression that you want someone who's fit and healthy and probably doesn't smoke. Do you get what I mean? So you can say what you do want, and then by saying what you want, the people who are not into like jogging and health and fitness, they won't be swiping on you anyway, but it just gives a more positive feel to the bio. The second thing I would recommend you do on your dating bio is to keep it light and funny. Dating apps for me, because the first time I went on dating apps was in my mid-30s after my marriage ended. So it's a bit weird. Like I didn't have dating apps growing up or when I started dating, but it's like literally human online shopping. It's just so bizarre. It's just like you swipe, you put in your cart, you decide later if you want to check out. It's just not normal. Like I don't think humans were meant to meet this way organically. It's just so weird. And I think everyone kind of feels it's a bit weird or self-conscious. So a lot of people really tend to take themselves super seriously. And I think the best way to get through dating apps is not to take it seriously. So my bio was a bit funny. I was poking fun at that. I think my opening sentence was welcome to the human online shopping app or something like that. And I just had like 2 or 3 sentences about what I wanted and what I like to do. And then I just kind of ended it with something like, oh, may the odds be ever in your favor, just like a reference to the Hunger Games, because it was just a weird, I found anyway, dating has to be a weird vibe. So it was just a nod to how odd that was. So if you're a girl, and this might be a bit controversial, I think you should never make the first move. I think men should make the first move. I'm an embryologist, so sperm goes to the egg, egg does not go to sperm, and that's just my personal rule. You can agree or disagree, but that's just my rule. So I would never be a fan of Bumble, which is ironic because I actually matched with my current husband on Bumble, but hear me out. The only reason I was on Bumble was because I got banned on Tinder, because I think I was in Cork at the time and I had on my bio, oh, I moved to Cork, I'm looking for Ian Bailey. So those of you who don't know, Ian Bailey was someone who allegedly murdered some French woman in West Cork, and there's a whole documentary about it, and I was just making fun of it. And I don't know why someone reported that bio, and then Tinder sent me a message like, oh, you can't have that as your bio. And then I quoted them like line from a Lana Del Rey song, which was, if he's a serial killer, what's the worst that can happen to a girl that's already hurt? And they were just not having it. They didn't get my sense of humor, so they were like, yeah, you're not allowed to use Tinder, and they blocked me from using Tinder, which is so bizarre because there's so many problematic bios on Tinder, and that's the one they found offensive. Okay, whatever. So I did actually end up going on Bumble, which is not an app I'd usually go for, because as I say, I think men should make the first move. So the way Bumble works is the woman has to make the first move. So I'd always just say, hi, how are you? And then they'd like respond, and then I'd respond in a normal way. I think for messaging, it's very important to have like a witty, light-hearted question to keep the conversation going. So for example, when people would text me, I would, respond with a question like, what's the answer to a question you've always wanted to know? Okay, and they would say something, and then usually they'd ask the question back, and I'd always talk about how I always wanted to know what Meatloaf wouldn't do for love, because like ever since I heard that song when I was a kid and I love meatloaf. I'm like, what won't he do for love? Like, he said he'd kill, he'll go to hell and back, but there's something else he won't do. And it used to drive me crazy. And I just used to kind of like ask that question to see if someone could come up with a good answer. But yeah, just like have like a light-hearted question, because I think when you keep the mood light, the conversation just flows better. A lot of people on dating apps, when they start, chatting with people, it can kind of feel like a job interview. They're like, how old are you? Where do you live? What do you want? It really does feel like a job interview. And I think that vibe, it's not normal when you're getting to know someone. So I just kind of keep it light and simple. And then if the conversation flows and it leads to a date or a video call or whatever, then I might start asking those questions. But I think it's very weird that you just met someone online and you're like asking all of these questions straight off the bat. It's just, for me anyway, I find it a bit off-putting. So I'm going to put up an example of a bio that I think is kind of interesting. So this is a bio which I think is cool because, first of all, it shows this person is creative. He's into poetry and he kind of rewrote his bio the way T.S. Eliot, which I'm assuming is one of his favorite poets, would write it, and I thought it was kind of funny. And then at the bottom, he just like says a bit about himself, and that's it. He's not taking himself too seriously. It's lighthearted, it's funny. He's not like saying, I don't want this, this, this. And now I'm going to put a few bios which are frankly a bit weird. Like a lot of like, I don't want this, I don't want this. And when you read this, the first bio, the funny one, and then these bios, which one are you more likely to swipe on? Most likely the first one. The first one as well did something very clever. By referencing T.S. Eliot, he kind of eliminated all the people who don't like T.S. Eliot or who wouldn't get the reference. So he's kind of just like using it as a litmus test to test who gets his sense of humor, who is similar-minded to him. And by doing that, the people who think he's funny or find this bio interesting will swipe right on him, and then he's more likely to get a good match because he's eliminated all the people who wouldn't get his joke. I kind of did that once on my bio. I was like, online dating is a Sisyphean task in reference to the Greek, Sisyphus, when he had to roll the rock up the hill and go back down again, because I just felt online dating was a bit weird. But a lot of people didn't get it and they thought I had syphilis, which is not what you want to portray when you're on a dating app. But then the people who did get it, when we did converse, it was very interesting conversations. So sometimes it's good to have a very specific sense of humor, and that kind of eliminates the people who wouldn't get your sense of humor in the first place. So anyway, I hope this video helped, and I'd be so happy if someone sent me their bio, their present dating profile, and see if I could pimp it up for them and then see if it does get more traction. I think it would be such a fun thing to do, and I hope you like this video. Oh, before I go, like and subscribe and do all that stuff, because I'm almost at 500 followers, which is super exciting for me, and I really want to hit 500 hopefully. So yeah, okay, bye.